Thank you for joining us on this special Halloween or Samhain, High Satanic Holy Day. Yes, we're live. We're not out celebrating while the other little ghouls and goblins with their lesser magic basically manifesting the occult takeover for the Illuminati. We are here fighting the New World Order, but it is Samhain, the night before All Saints' Day. And if you go back more than 3,000 years, the Druids sacrificed men, women, and children all over what is Western Europe and the UK today. And that's not Alex Jones or Fritz Springmeier, our guest who's coming up in a moment. That's Encyclopedia Britannica. That's the history. That's the facts. And the question is, why is this a holiday that has been made popular? It wasn't even exercised or basically observed in this country until the 1950s, when television made it popular and cute and funny. But the iconography, the symbolism is just amazing. Now, Fritz Springmeier, an amazing author, researcher, West Point grad, patriot, who was a guest of mine, a person I met several times, really is a person who led a very upstanding life, no criminal record. And they set him up 8+ years ago and put him in prison for bank robbery, literally with paid informants and others, putting him under the jail. And Fritz had been raided. Fritz was getting harassed right before all this happened because he was really exposing the Illuminati. Now, we talked for over an hour today on the radio about that. It's posted here at prisonplanet.tv. It'll be posted at our YouTube channel for the general public to inform them and edify them. But now, in the next 20 minutes or so, I want to just focus, and by the way, I'm springing this on him because, pun intended, because right as we were about to interview him, I thought, wait, it's Halloween. Weird that we're first able to talk now on Halloween, and I know he's an expert on the Illuminati, the Satanism, the occult, so why not get him to start out talking about that, and then looking at the end game, the motives of the globalist. He, of course, in fact, guys, it's in my office, if somebody will go grab it. It's Bloodlines of the Illuminati. In fact, bring it to me now. They actually have it. I want to show it to people. This is the book that we sell at Infowars.com. He's just gotten out of prison, and in the near future he'll be selling all of his books again. But I asked him on the radio today, where's the best place to get it? And he said Infowars.com, because that's basically how they're operating right now. But this book is amazing, and I've told the story 10 years ago when I first read this. I really had trouble believing a lot of it, even though a lot of it I knew was true and I'd already documented it. But separately, since then, in my own research, and going back to the Bohemian Grove and infiltrating again, I realized that I really have to accept this book as being the closest thing to reality I found concerning who and what the Illuminati are and what they're into. And I just have to absolutely praise and hail the incredible research of Fritz Springmeier. So I've put the preface out there. I'm going to try not to interrupt him, but he gets my brain burning with awakening and understanding. We turn to Fritz Springmeier. Fritz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and hello to you and all of your listeners out there.
You heard my intro. Halloween, what's its history, what's it all about, and why did Madison Avenue popularize it in the 50s with the Monster Mash and the rest of it? What's it really all about?
Wow, you hit it in a nutshell right there with the few words that you said. It's an ancient satanic practice. People might say that the Druids weren't satanic, but their rituals definitely are what we would define as satanic. Those of us who are Christians and understand what the Word of God says, the Word tells us that the whole world lies in the power of the evil one. There's an evil power, the Bible names it as Satan, and controlling the world. And so with that understanding, if you understand that there's this force that is manipulating people, you then understand that the agenda that they're working is a satanic agenda. I know this is difficult for a lot of people to accept. Some people say, well, that's just your theory. It's not my theory. It's not my opinion. These people actually worship Satan and see secret. Worshipping Satan is satanic. I don't care. You know, one can live in their own la-la land and pretend that that's not Satanism, but it's Satanism. And Halloween is a satanic holiday. And you'll notice that it's connected with all this death, you know, spiders and spider webs and skeletons. And the whole theme is death, you know, where we are from the kingdom of life. And it's promoted because that's deep down what motivates these people that run this planet. Even if Satan hadn't set them up and put them in positions of power, they would have to become Satanists just simply because, as so many people have pointed out, theology follows morality. In other words, what your morality is, what you do, you're going to look for a religion to justify it. And these people, the things they do to their fellow man, even though they consider the rest of us like ants, what they do is so heinous that they would have to become Satanists to justify it on that basis alone. So they're bringing into the world something they're bringing their practices in. There was a book written by Alice Bailey, and it's externalization of the hierarchy. And in that book, she says the things that were done in secret in the occult world are now going to be externalized. And that's what we see with Halloween. These practices were secret in the occult, in the covens, and now all of this stuff is being externalized into mainstream America.
Well, Fritz, I've also noticed that whenever I talk about this stuff, I mean, 16, 17 years ago when I was just waking up and getting on air, I didn't cover these issues. And it was listeners that kept documenting all this for me and saying, you ought to go to Bohemian Grove. So I successfully snuck in. I didn't think that would actually be happening there. Then they said, oh, they're just having fun. It's a joke. I was in the crowd of over 1,500 men watching the ritual. They were grinding their teeth. They were in a religious fervor. I tried to talk. Mike Hansen did. Like, ooh, that's neat. And they would growl at him with hisses. I mean, I've been in a, evangelical church. I've gone to Baptist churches as a young person. My parents went to both. I've been around people in religious exaltation. This was beyond anything I've ever seen. This is real. And then I get the Wiccans and folks sending me emails going, how dare you demonize our religion? They may believe because they're into white magic that it's all good, but you study all these religions, the Aztecs, the Druids, the Romans did it, the Greeks even did human sacrifice, the Babylonians, when the Israelites went wrong, they all did human sacrifice. I mean, this is something that humans societally manifest, and for them to act like, and the atheists to act like, we're making something up and on witch hunts here, this is in anthropology, this is in archaeology, this is in sociology. Vampirism is at all-time highs. I mean, this is something that the human psyche seeks after. So whether it's spiritual or not, and we've had spiritual experiences, you and I, we know it's real, it doesn't matter. As you said, it's manifesting, and now it's coming to a crescendo. So how does this tie into mind control? What is the power structure in the world occult? In fact, let's get into that. You know, we hear about Illuminati. What's its manifestation today? How do the Satanists fit into that hierarchy?
We're talking about the world system, and the world system has been going on for a long time. The system that we see around us was created by these powerful entities, the powerful families. And people have sometimes said, well, you know, like this one person, they sent me a book, well, let's boycott the Illuminati companies. They don't have a clue. The whole system was set up. It was created by these people. We're operating in their system. They are the ones that control the means by where money is created. And so it's not... yeah, you can step outside of this system. I have tried to do that myself. But the idea of just, well, we're going to boycott this company or that, they don't realize how far-ranging this is.
Well, isn't that what mind control, Fritz? I mean, to interrupt, and I want you to continue. Isn't that the different layers of mind control, whereas you have actual admitted total CIA mind control slaves and things you and others have exposed? The general public, everybody to a certain extent, is under its influences, where they've created almost a false reality or a artificial enclosure or artificial habitat where, as you're saying, it is their system. And so I see people repeating it. I see myself repeating their nomenclature and systems unconsciously, because we were raised up and literally grew from this wicked soil. And it's only through God that we're able to transcend it.
Well said. I am reluctant to speak because you do such a better job.
No, that's baloney. I learned a lot from you, Fritz. Your knowledge is way more advanced in some areas than mine. That's why we all talk to each other. Continue with the hierarchy of the system.
Well, back in the ancient mystery religions, they learned how to control people. There was several pillars to the control. One is they learned hypnosis, which they did in the Egyptian dream temples. They learned drugs, which are, during the Middle Ages, they called witchcraft potions, but it's just drugs or narcotics. They learned how to control people with drugs. And they learned how to control people with torture and combined all of that. And in this century, they have used scientific methods to systematically improve it. What they're able to do is create multiple personality disorder, where they create a front person that they will set up as a pillar of society, and then this pillar of society person, who may be a philanthropist or whatever we want to call them, he will have, or she will have, hidden sides to them, hidden parts to them, other personalities, if in actuality, and those are going to be controlled by the dark side. So they create a good front. It's like the scripture says, Satan masquerades as an angel of light. So they set themselves up as the pillars of society, and it's really hard to confront what they're doing because so much of it's done in secret. But this whole thing's beyond one person. It's a system, and when you join the Illuminati, you join because you were born into certain generational satanic families, and you join an agenda. It's like growing up in a mafia family. In fact, some of the mafia families are interconnected with the Illuminati. And you're born into all these traditions, and they use traditions to control you. On this day, this is Halloween, so this is what this is what's supposed to happen on Halloween. Now we're supposed to sacrifice somebody because it's Halloween. And you don't want to break the circle, you don't want to break tradition. You want to honor the family, you want to honor what's supposed to be done, blah, blah, blah. And so the person's trapped in this ritual and carries out this stuff. So it's a system. It's way beyond one person, and it really does disservice if we just yank one person attention. If we take attention and focus it on one person, because that one person is just, like Obama. There's a lot of people upset at Obama, but Obama is just one little cog in this whole machinery. He's the little puppet that the bigger boys are pulling the strings on.
Sure, absolutely. Somebody like Obama is a puppet. To get to the core of my question, in your research on the actual power structure, we would say politically, Bilderberg is up at the very top, but it's only one of several different management groups that interlock. If you look at the leadership of Bilderberg, they're the leadership of Trilateral, CFR, Royal Institute of International Affairs. It's a secret room, kind of good old boy mafia commission system. That's the temporal power. But then you find these groups are all obsessed with other secret societies. So I'm saying within the hierarchy globally of the Illuminati that you write about in Bloodlines of the Illuminati, now 10 years later, any revisions or added points you'd like to make when we look at the Illuminati structure, you know, I know it's Luciferians at the top. The Satanists fit in beneath that. How do all these other occultic systems, the kingdom of the cults, fit into this black pyramid? From your research, from top to bottom, what's the hierarchy? You know, from the 13 families to the servant families around them to the 6,000 superclass. How does the Committee of 300 nest within that?
It's interlocking at many different levels, and the mind control, which creates multiple personalities, allows them to have one person function at many different levels. Just like you yourself wear many hats. You know, you might be the uncle to somebody, and to somebody else you're their client, and to somebody else you're blah blah blah. A single person in the Illuminati can function at many different levels. At the very top is what's called the hierarchy level, but at the bottom it's called the anarchy level, and the anarchy level is the whole sum of all of these different occultic groups, different types of covens, different kinds of witchcraft rites, different Masonic groups, blah blah blah, on and on. So many groups, you know, and one has to go to my writings like Be Wise as Serpents to start to get a comprehensive picture of all of these different groups. But that's the anarchy level, and at the anarchy level, they all look like grassroots groups that are not connected. But within each of those grassroots groups are certain key people that are connected back to the hierarchy. So it's all interlocked. And it has to be, because this whole system, Satan is a control freak. The people underneath him, directly underneath him, are control freaks. And the more power they get, the more drunk with power they get, and the more control they have to get. Maybe somebody's out there in your listener land has had a boss that was a control freak. You know how these people are. The more control they get, the more power they want. They're drunk with it, and that's the way things are. So all these grassroots groups, like you were mentioning, these little Wiccans that get upset with you, you know, even though they may or may not know it, their group's going to connect back in and be very specifically tied in. It's not going to be a loose cannon like even some of the members may think. It just doesn't work that way. We're talking about people who want to be able to manipulate and control everything.
Let me ask you a question, because growing up in Dallas, in Rockwall, there was unbelievable occultic activity, and repeatedly as a child, you know, I'd be 14, have a 16-year-old girlfriend or whatever, and I'd get taken out to some giant mansion in the countryside, and it would be serious occult type stuff, but I would never be part of it. It was always the entryway to it, but I never got involved in it. I've now met a lot of famous people, and some of them off record will, you know, tell you, yeah, this stuff's real. You know, I've seen it, I've been there. But generally, they just went into the entry-level stuff. So how widespread is it? Because I never seem to think I'm some super special person. You know, I did grow up, you know, in one of the wealthiest areas of Texas, so I saw some of this, but it was everywhere there. I haven't seen as much of it here in Austin. It's more of a new agey type system where they're more just deceived. I mean, I know the occult's here. Dallas was so strong. I've been in other parts of the country and haven't seen it. From your research, what's going on in Dallas, Texas?
Wow, offhand, you got me there. In my Ezekiel 6:3 book, I listed ritual sites all across the United States, but there's a lot of them, and this thing is basically comprehensive across the United States. What surprised me is even in little towns, especially sometimes in little towns, in fact, there are some little towns that the whole population is part of some satanic cult.
Wasn't there a movie called Race with the Devil or something, where the whole town's satanic and they see the ritual, so they're getting chased, and at the end they think they've gotten away, but the next town is satanic and they arrest, you know, they kill them?
Yeah, and these things are not totally off base. There's negative truth in these kind of movies. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you about the occult activity specifically in Dallas.
Sure. My point is, did I just mistakenly run into a bunch of this? Or, I mean, I guess you answered it. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And that's so true. And if there is a spot that it didn't exist, why, that would be like the clean spot that had to be dirtied. You know, they would move in to dirty it. So it's pretty systematic. People don't realize how systematic this thing is. I know firsthand from several venues that they have specific people assigned to watch. And let's say there is a genuine, sincere Christian minister, then they target that person. So it's not haphazard how they extend their control, but they are very systematic in watching what's going on everywhere.
Well, that's what I was told when I was about 13, 14, 15 by principals and by people in the community and people walking up to me out of the middle of nowhere in a pretty big sized town. It's like, we're watching you. We're fully aware. And the thing was, I had always gone to church, been Christian, but I was wild, fist fights, everything else. It's almost like that dark energy early on was trying to suck me in. And then my question is this just across the board? Or, as you were saying, it's systematic? Do they recognize that I was going to be a threat to them later?
Well, they are watching. It's most amazing how they're watching in the schools very quietly, identifying the thought patterns of students, seeing what their potential is, which ones might present problems later on. And they do a lot of grooming, setting people up to go certain directions. It's pretty amazing, actually, the extent of how much little puppet pulling they're doing and how much rearranging and structuring they're doing. And even if you're outside of their direct control, they're still trying to manipulate you, like you were saying.
Well, they also sort of death threatening me because I was exposing police drug dealing in the area, which later did come out. Expanding on that, what about the military and the occult? You know, I know you went to West Point when you were young, and in that, did you recognize any of it at the time, or what did you see?
Yes, I did. And West Point's, the daycare center there had a scandal where they had the children being molested, and that ties back in with the mind control. One of the things that bothered me about the military, and a lot of other guys in the military that have good hearts confirm this too, is people that were very sadistic, you know, your satanic type mindsets, were the ones that got promotions, even within the class, even within the West Point classmates. And that's disturbing. You know, I went in thinking that somebody who was a good-hearted person like Robert E. Lee was the type of person that's going to rise to the top. But nowadays, that's not the case. Going back to the military, right there in Texas, you've got an deep underground military base at Fort Hood, at Denton, Texas, Red River Arsenal. And those deep underground military bases, which are a severe threat to us, before I went to prison, there was 140 of them. They tie in with occult activities. They tie in with a lot of stuff. These are definitely these underground military bases are definitely places where they're doing things that they want out of sight of the
Well, let me stop you and back you up here. I've had family, of course, here in Austin since way before I was born, and I've talked to others. There is an admitted underground base under Bergstrom. They admit is there, and then it's now the Hilton, but it was the SAC, Strategic Air Command Base, and there's reportedly, and I've talked to family that's in the military currently, and they won't talk about it. There's underground bases out there, and it supposedly connects out to the mountains out at Fort Hood. But separately from that, let's take occultism in government. It's on record. Of course, they made The Good Shepherd. Robert De Niro put it out with Matt Damon's in it, where you have this occult group, the guy dressed up like the Grim Reaper with a gold crown on his head, same guy the Mexican cartels worship. It's basically the devil, but the devil in the garb of death. They're really actually worshiping the real devil, not some guy trying to, pour you a martini or something. But, a Grim Reaper with a crown on its head. I mean, you're getting down to from all my deep research, that's who they're really worshiping. The high-level ones actually know what it is. 99.99% of the occultists don't. They think they're given power and all this stuff. They think they're worshiping something like the Roman Bacchus, the god of wine or good times. No, that's for the lower-level porch occultist. But the point is, here you've got admitted Satanism set up 1832 to counter what America was set up to be, at least at certain levels. And 1947, they set up, through Skull and Bones, the CIA, and the occultists get this total secrecy and unlimited funding. No wonder they took over at breakneck speed. From that point, they're dealing the drugs, they have trillions of dollars, unlimited power, national security, hit teams, they can do whatever they want, Federal Reserve, and then it's admitted an occult group that's been videotaped worshiping the devil by ABC News. And again, that leaked out because God wanted people to have the choice to really see what it was. People dressed up like the Grim Reaper with a skull mask and a gold crown. They're literally worshiping this, the most powerful families in America, and they run the CIA, and they have this whole secret society system they call national security. I mean, we literally have a satanic cult running America. No wonder they're putting cancer viruses in vaccines. I mean, what is their final equation in game? Where is this going? You've got the last 5 minutes, Fritz. You've got the floor.
It's like you said earlier, it's to rob, kill, and destroy the human race, because the people were created by God, and we are a wonderful creation. We are in the image of God, and Satan hates the image of God, and Satan is out to destroy the image of God. And all of this nonsense that you see, you can see the process. People are painting their bodies with tattoos, marking them up, putting what we used to put on the hogs' noses in their noses. We see a infatuation with death. We see the process of where God's beautiful creation, man, is being destroyed and disfigured. And Satan's laughing because he's taking pride in running this beautiful creation of the person, his own creator, that he hates.
Sure.
That in summary is it. It's not a human agenda. When I look at things and what their agenda is, it's obvious to me that this is not a human agenda. It's against the human race. The human race would not, even people in power would not have such a anti-human agenda.
Well, you're right. And in closing, I want you to speak to this. The fake environmental groups, whatever the globalists do, they create a counter so that when they destroy the environment, they then create groups. As we get upset, we go give our support to try to save the environment, and now we're just supporting their agenda, where they say what plants breathe, carbon dioxide, is evil. Then plants put off oxygen that we breathe. That's evil. Meanwhile, they're splicing all the animals together, GMO, wrecking the planet's genetic code, releasing pharmacological insects that they can't reverse. And I covered it earlier in the show, creating devastating effects. not just on humans, but the planet, and then it's all run by the, quote, environmentalists who think they're playing God. Again, it's an obsession with watching the world burn. Really, that's what they're into. And so then you try to be a real environmentalist with real problems, toxic waste dumping, serious issues, GMO, mercury in the vaccine, destroying our genetic code, pharmacological drugs in the rivers, destroying species. And that's not an issue. They create a fake issue, which is attacking the heart of life, carbon dioxide. You have oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. Without those four things, it's all over. They target one and try to reduce it. I mean, it is so amazing what they do. And when you really study it for a long time, you start seeing all the designs. And it's so incredible and so complex, it's hard to articulate to people. It's kind of like that saying of, one cannot be told about the Matrix, one has to see it for themselves.
Yes. Here in Oregon, before I went to prison, I had gone down to Klamath Falls, and the fake environmentalist had said that the suckerfish was becoming extinct. This was a bottom feeder. So hundreds of square miles of irrigation land went dry because the federal government forbid the water from the Klamath Lake from being given to the farmers. And so over 1,000, I think it was, I can't remember.
And it wasn't even indigenous.
The farmers were wiped out, and all of the wildlife that depended upon all of the plants and so forth on those farms was wiped out just for a suckerfish that doesn't even live near the surface of the lake. These false environmentalists destroyed the environment with the government's help.
Well, that's what I was going to say, though. They damned it. It was an artificial lake, so it was an artificial habitat. And see, that's that idea that humans don't make things better. It's a fundamental judgment that life is bad, humans are bad, teaching us we're bad, when in truth, most of the 1 or 2% of the water that's fresh is in aquifers doing no good. Humans are greening the desert. We, with clean technologies, could make the earth an oasis. But again, it's that fundamental idea that we are bad and we're told we're a parasite. Why would our own species come up with that idea?
Yeah, it's because we're on a non-human agenda that's anti-human. It's against the human race.
Okay, we know that the Bible gets into the devil and it gets into the Anunnaki and it gets into all this genetic engineering, and I don't usually go there because I don't think I can't get people to admit FEMA camps are real when they're in the Houston Chronicle. But looking at the Bible and really deeply interpreting it from your research, does the devil physically manifest like the serpent in the garden? How advanced is this? How old is this fight? Any closing comments on that? This is so intriguing.
This goes back to the start of humankind and is prehistoric. This is an ancient thing that's been going on a long time. So, this is nothing new, which is why when they talk about the New Age, it's actually ancient occult practices that aren't new.
Yeah, we were actually rebelling against the devilish system, and they call us the old-time idiots. But really, we're revolting against their old-time religion.
True.
But we are coming to the end game, in my view. Again, speak to that, and then we're going to let you go until you're on with us during the 27-hour broadcast starting Thursday at 11 a.m. And by the way, there'll be free video screens for all the viewers at Infowars.com. Starting tomorrow, we're going to start posting them for the regular shows, the nightly news for everybody. They're going to be boxes, audio streams, but also video streams for everybody. You're going to be joining us 11 o'clock your time, 1 a.m. During that 27-hour transmission. But everybody I talked to who wasn't even awake before, they're in their gut, they know something's happening. Are you seeing that accelerated awakening? Or, as quantum mechanics shows us, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. As evil rises, that good is going to rise.
Exactly. Well said. I'm really pleased that you just keep describing everything so perfectly. And I'm not just saying that to blow smoke up you, but yeah, I don't know that I can say it better. We're coming to an end time. We're looking at the destruction of the human race as we know the human race. This has been Satan's agenda for a long time. The scriptures tell us that, if God didn't bring an end to things, when God brings an end to things, it's actually a rescue mission. It's not, people think that God's being mean.
There'd be no flesh left if he didn't shorten the days.
He's got to shorten the days. It's coming down to the wire. Meanwhile, you and I, we need to buy, it says in the scriptures, buy from me gold refined in the fire that you might be rich. That's in Revelations 3. That's what you've been doing, with the persecution that comes. We are buying gold by doing what's right, and then we go through the refiner's fire. And this is a test for us. And by standing up for what's right, we show our Creator that we love what's beautiful, we love what's true, we love Him, and that's important. Make a statement for what's good. If you're over target, you're going to start getting flack. That's when you get flack, is when you're over target. So don't take the attitude that if bad things are happening to you, that you're doing something wrong.
Yes, well, we've gone through some persecution, but nothing like you have, but also so many blessings. It's like every time I've not bowed to threats and I go through it, then that's when the good things happen after. But I'm not, I just hope the devil doesn't go before God like with Job and say, get this guy, because I don't want to go through what you've gone through. I don't know if I'm as strong as you, Fritz.
We never know until we go through the test.
Yeah, well, I've been tested a lot. I've told God, obviously, I'm 100% committed, and God knows that. But 8 years in prison and all you went through. Fritz, if folks want to contact you, what's the best way?
They can email me at springmeiermessages at hotmail.com. Then you just need to know how to spell my last name, Springmeier, Springmeier, and then messages at hotmail.com. And I try to respond to everybody. I think everybody, since I've gotten out of prison, which is hundreds, have all received a response from me. I've tried to honor that.
Well, look out, because you're about to get thousands of contacts. Fritz, we're going to see you, Lord willing. I know they might try to persecute you for this interview. Folks should pray for you. We'll see you back during the special Money Bomb 27-hour transmission, kicking off Thursday, running in to Friday. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll see you then.
Thank you, Alex.